Hello, my name is Beck and welcome to my first book haul of the year. This is going to be a book haul, but it also doubles as my entire TBR because if you didn't know, I got my TBR basically all the way down in 2020, and so now whatever I get is all going to be new stuff that I add to that list. So without further ado, let's get into it. I think one of these books I have at least hauled before, so I'll mention that at the very end, but the rest of these are absolutely brand new. First up in my quest to read more sci-fi in 2021, I got Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I don't know the synopsis of this really like the rest of these. They're just going to be very general, like sparks of my interest. So I just know that this is a sci-fi. There's a captain named Jim Holden. There was something that occurred that sparks his or his crew's interest, and then they get tracked potentially. That is essentially all I know, aside from the fact that this is a TV series called The Expanse and I want to read this before I watch the show. So I have like 7 books ahead of me, I think. This is a series, and hopefully I really love the first book because I really want to love a new sci-fi series. So I've started this one and I'm really liking it so far. Hopefully I can give it a decent rating and continue the series. Next up is an adult contemporary, and I don't usually read adult contemporary. Usually I'm into sci-fi and fantasy. However, this has become a book that is recommended to me by some people that I really trust, and it's Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Casey McQuiston. I'm already getting names wrong and we're only the second book deep in this book haul, oh dear. This is a male-male romance, I believe. It's also a royal romance, and one of the characters is also bisexual. I'm interested. It's apparently really funny, it's really cute, and why not spice up my February with a book that is close to Valentine's Day and a romance? So I thought, why not? I don't usually delve into this genre, but when they come highly recommended by my friends, why not jump on board? So that's what I'm gonna do. Also, if you've read any of these, let me know down below because I would love to hear your thoughts as I go through. But the next one is Legend Born, and this is a book that is a young adult, potentially a new adult. It's about a girl who goes to college and she discovers a magical secret society there. Her mother also has been killed or murdered or something, and there's a subplot about that. And the only criticism I've heard about Legend Born is that she picks up the magical powers or tendencies really quickly, and it's pretty much a blink and you'll miss it. The fact that she's going through this learning montage, she learns it very quickly in a few days. Usually I don't like that kind of thing. I like magic to be very much earned, but I think it will merge into the story and I will enjoy it. So I don't usually pick up hyped young adult books. I believe this is young adult. I know there's been a lot of hype for it over the past month or so. I'm really hoping that I like it because it's got a few buzzwords that I really like. It seems like the young adult version of what Leigh Bardugo wrote with Night House, which follows a girl who goes to Yale University and there's a magical secret society and there's a murder. So it seems like up my alley because I loved Night House. So hopefully I like this one too. And then next I'm also jumping off the deep end into a very long and thick fantasy series, and that is the second book in the Wheel of Time. I've acquired The Great Hunt and I can't wait to read this. It's on my January TBR. Hopefully I can get through up to 5 books of the Wheel of Time this year. I don't want to say I'm going to finish it this year because it's a lot of pressure, but I want to buy these as I read them. So it motivates me. It's like gratification of getting a book and then being able to read it straight away when I get it. So hopefully that method works for me, and I've set my reading goal high because I want to motivate myself to read this year, as well as completing all my other goals that I posted in my goals video. So hopefully this makes it into my favorites list of this year because I really want to love The Wheel of Time. Next is a book that I've already read. I read last year in like September and I have a reading vlog for it. I didn't spoil it in that reading vlog. All my vlogs are spoiler free unless I say otherwise. The book that I'm talking about is by Joe Abercrombie, one of my favorite fantasy authors, and it's The Trouble with Peace. This is the second book in his Age of Madness series. It's the like 11th book or the 10th book in his first law set of books. So it's a series that is well worth getting into. I love his character work. I love how clever he is about language and tone, and this was no different. I gave it a 5 stars. I love Joe Abercrombie, and I eventually want to reread all his work so that I can get all of the little nuances that I have definitely missed going through it the first time. I can't believe, as a side note, that The Blade itself, the first book in the first law series, was the first book that Joe Abercrombie wrote, and he has been successful after and on the back of that book. It just kind of blows my mind that such an awesome book came out of him on the first try. Anyway, I really love this. I gave it 5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, which is what I've been doing with the series because I really like Steve Pacey's narration. I can't sing enough praises for Joe Abercrombie. Read his books if you haven't, but I got this and now it can sit nicely on my shelf. It is not hardcover, so it doesn't match my other book in this series, but I'm not too fussy about that kind of thing. As long as it's the general same art style, then I'm pretty happy. And then next I got 2 graphic novels. I got them both when they were on sale because in Australia and just in general, graphic novels are quite expensive. So when I saw these for $10 each instead of like $26 each, I was like, you're coming home with me. And that is Bitch Planet. And I don't know what this is about, except that it's feminism and sci-fi, and I don't know if it's like radical feminism or not, but we'll see how we go, because depending on the level of it, it might be a little bit too much and too pushy, but hopefully it's something that I like. It might be doing that on purpose and I don't know the reason yet. So depending on how it conveys the themes in here, I'm going to be into it, but we'll see. So I got volumes 1 and 2 and I hope I like this, but it's just another comic book series that I am starting and probably finding myself in the middle of because I haven't bought any more of. So if I like it, then I'm in trouble because I have so much more other series to catch up on that are graphic novels, but oh well, they're on my TBR too. I also got a middle grade fantasy, and that is The Tales of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. I have actually never read any Ursula K. Le Guin, despite her being a fairly big name in fantasy. I've loved the Studio Ghibli movies, and there is an adaptation of The Tales of Earthsea in a film. I didn't really love that film, but I love all of the Ghibli adaptations. So hopefully that's not the same mood that I go into this book with, and hopefully that I really absorb it and enjoy it. I've seen kind of mixed reviews about this, so I don't know how it's going to go. This isn't just book 1 either, it is the first 4 books, so hopefully it's something that I really enjoy. I'm going to cross my fingers because all of the books that I have got here with me are books that, like Trouble with Peace, I've already read and loved, or they're books that I'm really excited about, and that's why I've gone out and bought them, and they're usually up to date with my reading taste because they're not old, so hopefully I end up liking this one. But again, I've seen mixed reviews, so I'm a little bit on the fence about going into it, but we'll see. I'm going to try and be optimistic. And then we have another middle grade. It's called Wolf Brother. I honestly know nothing about this. My friend got it for me because it was a book that she read as a kid and she has been obsessed with it, and so she was like, I want you to read it, and so she got it for me. I know that it says the epic journey of boy and wolf begins, so it seems like it is a animal familiar kind of situation, and I love a boy-wolf combo as evidenced in the Farseer trilogy, so I think I'm going to end up liking this, and it seems pretty short too, so I'm sure I can get through it fairly fast. Hopefully none of these books, or at least a very small amount of them, make it into next year's TBR. I want to clear them out as I'm buying them, but we'll see how we go. I think with this one, it will be doable. And then another middle grade is Arusha and the End of Time. One of my goals last year was to read more of Rick Riordan's Presents books, because Rick Riordan wrote the Percy Jackson series, but he also has an imprint where he gets authors of diverse cultures and they write about their own sets of mythology. And this is one of those books. So that long-winded explanation is basically just me going, this is a pretty cover, I love reading middle grade, and it's endorsed by Rick Riordan, so I'm probably going to like it. Again, I don't know too much, except that Arusha has a tendency to stretch the truth in order to fit in at her private... That scared me more than it probably should have. I think I've had too much coffee. But the rest of that was, Arusha has a tendency to stretch the truth in order to fit in at her private middle school. I think she sees something that doesn't fit with her reality, and then there's a magical world. I think it involves a quest as well, but we'll see. I know there's more than one book in the series, but I just got this because, again, I want to give it a try and I want to start it. And there are other books by Rick Riordan Presents imprint that I want to read as well. One of them is Stormrunner and one of them is Dragon Pearl, so hopefully I can get onto those as well. I hope they don't fall over again because that really scared me. You've probably seen this book on my shelf behind me when I filmed some older videos from the later half of 2020, but this is Theft of Swords and it's been sitting up there behind me looking all chill. I think it's 2 books in one, and overall it's an entire quartet. I only really needed the back to hook me because it's got 3 lines and they say they killed the king, they pinned it on 2 men, but they chose poorly. It sounds cool. And that's really all I needed to know. I've seen people talk about it and say that the beginning to middle is harder to get through because it's dry. And sometimes that can really hinder me. So depending on how I go, I might get the audiobook, but we'll see. I assume I'll read it physically and at least give it a decent chunk of a try because I really want to like this. I've heard decent things about it in reviews and stuff that I've seen. So hopefully I'm one of the people that like it because I heard all this cool stuff about Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter and I found that like okay rather than amazing. So hopefully this is a different story and I end up really enjoying this, but we'll see. Up next is a book with an author that I've read from before, and that is N.K. Jemisin. So this is the 10,000 Kingdoms, I think? The 100,000 Kingdoms. I keep getting the title wrong. That's probably going to be a running theme. Anyway, this is a book that just has gods and mortals, power and love, death and revenge, and she will inherit them all. It sounds fast-paced, and if N.K. Jemisin is anything to go by, it's going to be really deep in terms of character and theme, and it's going to really intrigue me and hook me that way. And that's why I loved her 5th season books, or the Broken Earth trilogy rather, and that's probably why I'm going to enjoy this as well. If I like this, I'm going to go out and get her other books. So I think one of them is called The Killing Moon, which I will put on the screen because I really want to get the rest of her work. Given that I've enjoyed her stuff so far, I may as well go and get her backlist as well and support an author that I really like. So that's what I'm doing here. I got this one for Christmas and I'm very grateful. And then next is another author that I've already read before, and that is Shawna Mcguire. This is Middle Game, and I've heard that this is about 2 siblings who are far apart from each other. They've grown up into their teens or early 20s, I think, and they have a link mentally, so they can communicate mentally or feel what the other one feels. So siblings, and then they know alchemy, and I think that's why there's a wax hand with candles on the front. That's all I know. That is all I needed to know. I really wanted to read books with more alchemy as a magic system in them because I've read The Name of the Wind and enjoyed it. I've read or seen some of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I haven't seen all of it and I really need to. And those are 2 mediums that I really loved seeing alchemy as magic in. So I was like, I'm probably going to like this as well, but Shawna Mcguire is a bit hit and miss with me, so hopefully I end up really liking this. Her Every Heart a Doorway books are really good, but then I fell down a little bit when I read Parasite because I didn't love it, so hopefully I've got one on either side. Hopefully this falls in the camp of I really enjoyed it because I really want to like it. So I got this also for Christmas and I'm very grateful, so I'm excited. Up next is a book by Jen Lyons, and I've seen Piera talk about this quite a bit, and that might have influenced me a little bit when I was going on a buying spree in my local bookstore because I got Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. All I've heard is that it's queer and that there's dragons. Honestly, what more do you need to know about an awesome fantasy book? It says, when destiny calls, there's no fighting back. That's the tagline. A bard's apprentice grew up on heroic tales, yet he also steals, desperate to escape the slums. And when he raids the wrong house, he's marked by a demon and life will never be the same again. I love fantasy with demons in it, so this sounds like it's going to be amazing. Fingers crossed that this becomes a new favorite because I'm all about discovering new fantasy books and fantasy series that I'm gonna love. So if you've read this, let me know if you liked it or not. And then next is a book that I haven't seen anyone talk about, I don't think, and it is The Book of Coley, I think, by M.R. Carey, and I've read M.R. Carey before. So they wrote The Girl with All the Gifts and then The Boy and the Bridge, and I enjoyed both of those. They're zombie apocalypse stories, but it goes into the science of the zombie apocalypse and the actual virus, and it gave you a standpoint that a lot of other zombie apocalypse books haven't really given me, and that is the science behind the virus. And I like the unique narration style of both of the books. So they're companions and kind of sequels, so read them in order if you pick them up. The Girl with All the Gifts is first. So I liked that and I want to read this. All this says is everything that lives hates us. Beyond the walls of the small village lives an unrecognizable landscape, a place where overgrown forests are filled with choker trees and deadly seeds that will kill you where you stand. And if they don't get you, the shunned men will. That's only the first paragraph, but the rest seems to be pretty vague. It seems like it's about a mythical, dangerous forest and survival. And that's pretty much enough of a hook to make me buy it, obviously. I've been eyeing this off for a little bit, and so I'm really eager to give it a shot. I really liked the other books by them on audio, so maybe I'll go the audio. It depends on how fast I get through audiobooks this year, because I kind of slowed down at the end of last year, so we'll see, but hoping to get to this as well. I think this is a duology or a trilogy, so if I like this, expect to see the others in the series pop up as well. And then we are still going, so I now have a package to open from a friend. Da 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 da! This is from my friend Marie, so thank you, Marie. I already kind of guessed what it was just by accident, which I will explain in a minute. Ooh, I like this edition. This is Dune, and it is a sci-fi book that has a movie coming out soon. I wanted to read this because one of my goals this year is to read more sci-fi, because if I like sci-fi and fantasy, I should feasibly read more sci-fi rather than heavy-handed fantasy, because that's all I read really last year. So I wanted to rectify that and read Dune this year, as well as a few others. And as well as this one, I actually got a package during Vlogmas when I did that for 2020. And I got Dune as well. I got this sent to me by Hachette the publisher. So thank you, Hachette, for sending this to me. And sorry, Marie, that they kind of undermined your gift by accident. I didn't request Dune. It came as a complete surprise. So now I have 2 copies, and I'm sure my partner and I will read one each. So thank you to my friend. You are awesome for getting me this for Christmas. Okay, and that same friend Marie also got me some other books, but these were ones that she was unhauling. So when a friend is unhauling books, you go through them to see if you want anything, right? So that's what I did. I don't know if I'm going to read all of these absolutely straight away, but they piqued my interest enough to go, hey, just send those to me and I'll see how I go. There's not that many, there's only 3. Let me just get them out and then I will talk about them. So the first one is Ambassador's Mission by Trudy Canavan. I've been eyeing off this author for a little while and I want to read her Magician's trilogy, I think, first, because a lot of her books interlink in the same world and I don't know how, and I'm worried if I Google anything it will be spoilery. So I grabbed this because I'm hoping to read the trilogy, I think, before this one. And then after I've read that trilogy, then I can read this. So there's a bit of a leapfrog thing kind of happening here, but I figured if I could get this without paying full retail price for it, then why not grab it while I could? And then if I don't like it later down the track, then I can just unhaul it. So that is why this one is here. Plus it's fantasy and I'm usually into that. The first one in the first trilogy, the Magician's trilogy, I believe there's a character in a magical school. And so I'm assuming I'm going to like it because I love magical schools. So hopefully I enjoy this series that is a sequel series. In addition to that, I have 2 more, and then the last book on here is going to be the book that I think I've already hauled maybe twice. I'm not sure. Anyway, the next book that I got is a Tamora Pierce book, and I'm one of those people who miraculously grew up without realizing who Tamora Pierce was, even though I'm a massive fantasy reader. So I figured that I would get this when my friend was getting rid of it, because why not give her a try? So I don't know anything about this. Like, I know nothing. It just says Becca Cooper is a trainee dog in the lower city. It's a tough beat, but it's where she was born. Shy Becca's talent is listening to ghosts that pigeons carry, the cries of the unhappy dead. Sounds like fantasy and necromancy, which is sounding really cool, to be honest. So I don't know if this is a standalone. I don't know if this is part of a series. If you are a Tamora Pierce expert, then let me know down below, but I'm happy to just go in and enjoy myself and have a jolly good time, so I'm assuming that's what I'm going to do. Well, maybe not jolly good considering it's necromancy and ghosts, but I feel like you kind of get what I mean. So hopefully this is another one that I end up really, really liking. Running out of space on this shelf. Okay, I've got one more, and that is My Dark Vanessa, and this is a book that is a dark contemporary. Usually that wouldn't really be my thing, but it has high recommendations from a friend. This is about a girl who is both 16 and 30, because we're getting flashbacks, as far as I'm aware, and she looks back at school at the relationship she had with a teacher, and it doesn't glorify it. It's very dark, and obviously it's got dark in the title, but what I mean is that it doesn't glorify this relationship, and it explores her realizing how bad the relationship was and how predatory it was. So I'm assuming this isn't going to be a fun peppy time when I go into it, and I usually read contemporaries for that fluffiness, but every now and then I'll pick one up that is going to be more hard hitting, and that's why this is here. So again, I don't know when I'm going to read this because it's not really my usual genre, but I imagine when I read a bunch of thick fantasy books and I want to break in something that is more digestible without having to learn an entire new world, I'm probably going to dive into this. So at some point, maybe I'll chuck it on a readathon, or I'll just pick it up in between a bunch of fantasy and sci-fi that I'm reading. But My Dark Vanessa is, like the title, it sounds very dark and something that I am interested in. And then really quickly, the last one in this list that doesn't really count towards my book haul, but it counts towards my TBR, is The Vore by Brian Catling. And I've talked about this once or twice before. It has a magical forest in it. The synopsis on the back is really vague, so I'm assuming this is going to be one of those atmospheric fantasy books, and it's one that I won't be able to rush through if I'm listening to an audiobook or anything. So I think with this, I'm just going to have to pick it up when the mood is perfect. Otherwise, I'm going to feel it's either really slow or I'm going to rush through it and not absorb it properly. So I need to be really careful about when I pick this up. But I think it's going to be another one that I enjoy. It was given to me by my best friend, so I trust her reading taste, so I'm assuming that I'm going to really enjoy this as well, but it's just got to be at the sweet spot. It's got to be at the perfect moment. So hopefully I can find that throughout this year, because I envision that I'm going to be absolutely crazy busy, but I'm anticipating that I'll like this as well. That is the last book in this book haul / TBR. I would hold all of these up, but it is way too many. So thank you so much for watching this video. Chat to me down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.